And thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for coming. This is a unique venue to present, right? I don't think I've ever had an opportunity to present in a movie theater. Pretty cool. I'm a big movie buff, so today I'll take your request for the movies we're gonna watch. So it actually reminds me. Earlier this year, I had an opportunity to present at a small conference called Hack Miami in South Beach, Florida. And I showed up there in the morning, kind of like this, and then I look at all the speakers, and everyone is presenting in shorts. So I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea. So I went back to my room, changed into shorts, and that's how I presented at Hack Miami. So that was kind of probably one and only time I got to present in shorts. So anyway, cool experience. But today, talking about PM and PMM, and where do we draw that line in between those teams and responsibilities? My name is Rene Kolg. I'm head of product at a cybersecurity startup called Nitron. And you might be thinking, what the hell is a PM doing at a product marketing conference? And that's exactly the focus of my talk, right? How can we work better together? Where are those synergies and collaboration opportunities between PMM and PM, or even broader marketing and the product team? So that's, and I was actually quite impressed by that this topic actually already came up just before the break. If any of you attended the panel on the careers, PMM careers, they spent some time already talking about collaborating and working with the product team. So I'm just gonna double click on that and take you through that journey. Cool. Super quickly about myself. The sexy accent you're hearing is from a relatively small Northern European country called Estonia. It's a pretty cool space, pretty cool place. Anyone visited Estonia here? Anyone? Yeah, one person. Yeah, cool country to visit. Just my recommendation, go in the summer, because part of the reason I live here now is because the winter is pretty dreadful there. We also have some unicorns there. Many of you heard about Skype, but we have others as well. TransferWise, Playtech. We have Uber Lyft competitor, used to be called Taxify, now called Bolt. And then Estonia is also known for its e-residency program. Pretty much anyone in the world can become an e-resident of Estonia. And what that allows you to do is to open bank accounts, start a business, pay taxes, all seamlessly, all electronically, and that's pretty cool. My career started, I started in engineering, QA, support, and then about 15 years ago, I switched to product management. Had the opportunity to work for some of these companies you see on the screen, from 25-person startup to about 20,000-person Fortune 500 company. Mostly in pretty nerdy enterprise B2B space, worked on products dealing with encryption, antivirus, virtualization, and others. Anyone including this device you can see on the right of the screen, not the hardware component, but the software component that operated it. Anyone knows what that thing is? Anyone? No? That was pretty nerdy stuff, as I mentioned. This is a tape library. This is, believe it or not, that's how even today many of the on-prem data centers get backed up. Literally, there's a robotic arm that moves up and down there and loads backup tapes into the tape drive, and that's how the data on those servers, the databases, are protected in case of hardware failure or ransomware, etc. So again, nerdy stuff. But we're here to talk about PM and PMM, and where do we draw that line, right? And first, I think it's most of us would say that's pretty clear, right? On the PMM side, we know we own the go-to-market. It's the what, how, and where do we sell this product. So hence, it's all about the outbound focus, right? Plus, broad understanding of the competitive space and the competitor products, right? And on the product side, it's all about what are we building, why are we building it, and when do we want to build this and ship it. So it's mostly inbound focus with the deep technical understanding of competitors. So pretty clear so far, right? Okay. Another way to look at it is the pragmatic marketing framework. How many of you know pragmatic? Yeah, well, almost half or so, more. So yeah, here we know, right? We have technical, we have marketing, or maybe we draw the lines this way, right? We have the product owner there, we have SE, we have PMM in the middle, we have strategy over there up top. Hold on, or maybe it's this way. We draw the lines, with technical, marketing, and sales together. Hold on, or maybe it's actually this way. There's the inbound, the outbound, right? But so it's all funny and all, right? But we know that the lines can be drawn slightly differently depending on the organization size, the maturity, etc. So at the end of the day, there are lots of different responsibilities, and some of them they're kind of in the middle, a little bit fuzzy. Who really owns this? Some are very clear, others are not so much. So here's my kind of super scientific way of drawing the line between PM and PMM, and you can see again there's lots of stuff in the middle there, right? Who really owns those demos? What about training? What about the beta or early adopters program? What about the win-loss, etc., etc.? So lots of stuff in the middle. Kind of a recipe for disaster, right? Unclear responsibilities. Who really owns what? Is there real ownership? Or too many cooks in the kitchen also, right? That could be also a problem. Everyone is saying, no, I own this, here's the demo script, or here is, I own the AR. So, but on the one hand, it's a potential for a problem. On the other hand, I believe that's where the potential for collaboration and synergy lives as well. And that's exactly what my talk is about. I'll give you just 3 examples where even where responsibilities are pretty clear traditionally, there is an opportunity for collaboration from both the PMM to PM side and the other way around, from PM to PMM. So, first one, press release, right? Sounds very clear, right? Marketing, PMM, or if you have a PR team, they own that, right? However, it's not always that simple. Actually, there is an opportunity to collaborate with your product team on a press release. For example, Amazon has this quite well-known process or technique that they call mock press release, or sometimes known as internal press release. How many of you know about that technique? A handful. Yeah. So basically what it is, in order to get any product, project, or service approved, PM needs to create a very structured press release that kind of pretends that the product has already shipped, and this is the press release. We created the product and we're about to ship it. So this is the press release for it. And this internal PR accompanied with an FAQ is pretty much the sole basis of getting the product approved or the project approved or not. So if, and obviously This is now a pretty well-known technique, so it's not only used by Amazon, a number of other companies are adopting it. So if you work in one of those companies, you may already have a PR ready, written by your PM. You just need to reach out across the aisle. And of course, I'm sure it needs changes and improvements, but that could be a good foundation. Another possible resource for a PR. So Marty Kagan, I know some of you probably heard his name, very well-known person in the product community, wrote a number of books like Inspired, and one of his favorite coaching techniques is so-called written narrative. So pretty much putting things on paper in a long form rather than in bullet points. Again, if your company subscribes to Marty Kagan's approach to product management, and there are many of those companies, especially in the Valley, you may already have great narrative written by a PM that you can leverage in PR or in other materials for that matter. Okay, hopefully you were still with me. So another example. So we discussed PR. Not just marketing. Another example, trade shows, right? Again, something that lives pretty clearly in the outbound space, in the marketing or product marketing ownership. However, there is the saying in the product world that you don't learn much by sitting in the office, right? That's why good PMs are always striving for an opportunity to get out of the office, meet prospects, meet customers, learn from real users rather than sitting in the office and imagining the future. So that's where a trade show could be a great opportunity for a product person to meet prospects, talk to customers. So you can sell if you need help with trade shows and you want to improve the collaboration between the teams. Why not sell this to your product team? And the benefits are plenty. Again, it is the competitive research because it's likely that we are not the only company attending a trade show. There are likely going to be competitors. So great opportunity to do some competitive research. Great opportunity to talk to prospects. What are they asking? What are the objections? What are their priorities? You know, in B2B world, we often do CABs or customer advisory boards or technical advisory boards, and they often are co-located with the larger trade shows, like a day before, a day after, something like that. So, and one of the main stakeholders at the CAB or a TAB is the product team. Again, another reason for them to be there and to be engaged with the trade show. Sales team sync opportunity. Again, sales folks are often at the trade show, and one of the inputs PMs take into their backlog prioritization, roadmap creation, obviously comes from the sales team. Great opportunity to catch up with them. And many trade shows ask for speakers and presenters, right? And who better to speak on behalf of your company than a subject matter expert in a form of a PM. So that's some examples of what traditionally lives in the hands of broader marketing or PMM can be expanded to include the product team. What about the other way around? Win-loss, in my experience, often lives in the hands of the product team. But it has tons of information that can be leveraged by a PMM as well as broader marketing team. For example, pricing misalignment, right? Do we hear consistently from the field that our offering is incorrectly priced? I worked for an organization where the portfolio I ran was literally priced double of what the rest of the competitors were, right? And of course, unless you are truly differentiated, you can't charge double. And so it caused all kind of issues with the sales team, higher discounting, et cetera, et cetera. So, through win-loss analysis, you can learn that. And of course, pricing and packaging often lives in the hands of marketing. So what a great resource a win-loss analysis can be. Positioning adjustment, right? Are we able to position our product correctly? Training and field enablement. Do we notice that we lose deals because our field is unable to communicate the value propositions of the product to the prospects? Again, that's another opportunity for the PMM team to step in. And competitive focus refinement, right? That's, who are we competing with on a regular basis and who are we not competing with? Who are those companies and competitors we should really be focused on? So these are just 3 examples, and of course there are many more opportunities to collaborate between the teams. And obviously, the alignment between the teams really depends on the size and the maturity of the company, right? If you're in a 25-person startup and all sitting in the same room, you will collaborate, you want it or not, right? Everyone knows what everyone else is doing. However, as you grow, if you're in a 20,000-person enterprise, it's just the reality that the teams will drift apart. There's the roles are defined more clearly. The teams are larger and probably grow apart. And so how do you realize that, right? How do you see, have we grown too far apart between PMM and product? Well, you can ask yourself a few questions. A little bit funny examples, but I've encountered those in my work. So here's one. PMM is surprised by the latest release or a public roadmap that was just delivered, right? Never a good situation. Some of you I see some smiles. Some of you have been in those situations. And the thing here is that it's a loss for everybody, right? If you ship the product, if a product team shipped a product, but they didn't benefit from PMM being able to articulate the value propositions properly, right? Being able to train the field team and the sales team, right? Then what's the value of shipping this product, right? I like to say that without marketing and sales, we're just a bunch of volunteers, because no one cares about your tech unless you can properly market and sell it. Next, PM, let's take the other perspective, right? PM is surprised by a press release. I've been there as well. I remember stumbling upon a press release for a product that I ran, quoting me that I've never seen. I've never obviously created this quote, but no one even ran this quote by me or this press release. The only reason I found out about this PR is I searched for my name on Google like few years after that happened. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So, okay, not cool, right? And we discussed the way to collaborate on a press release, right? At least, hopefully you at least check with the PM on the value propositions and elaborate it from there. And if there are any quotes, they were ran by a PM team as well. So PMM doesn't know reference customers. Again, often those reference customer relationships live with product management. Not always, but they often are the first ones to create those. So the closer you work with the product team, the higher the chances you'll have those connections. You'll know exactly who are the reference customers, and hence who to leverage for great case studies and videos. Okay, what else? well, that's the worst one, right? PM doesn't even know who their PMM counterpart is, right? Again, no one wins there, right? If PMs are there in the silo creating something and they are not able to communicate the reasons for the value of that feature or product, then then again, it might as well just go home and not do it, right? Because don't be just a volunteer. Let's make sure we create something that is actually companies being able to market and sell. Okay, so that's hopefully clear enough, but there's also the reverse of that, which I've observed once in a while. It happens less frequent, but when is the case that you may need to draw those lines maybe better between the product and the marketing and the PMM team? PM is running paid social. Okay, that's unless you're like a 5-person startup and you don't have marketing team at all, forget the PMM. That shouldn't be happening, right? Or PMM is writing product requirements. Okay, someone has done that here. Or prioritizing a backlog or defining a UI, right? Again, it's not that PMs should not listen to marketing. Absolutely, right? That's the job of the PM to broaden that aperture and take the inputs from every team out there, right? From sales, marketing, of course, the field, of course, the analyst, et cetera, right? But then it's the PM's responsibility to actually put that in the requirements and prioritize and create that vision and roadmap. Okay. PM is building email nurture. Again, similar example to the first one. Hopefully that doesn't happen. And PMM is on the product escalation call. Again, that's probably the role of customer success or escalation manager and a PM rather than a PMM. Okay. So hopefully that gave you some examples of first understanding where you are on that spectrum. How close or how far are you apart with your product counterparts, and then some ideas on how to collaborate better, where to call the PMs and say, hey, come help us with this, or do you have anything written for this already? Let's work better together. For example, when I was at Symantec, I had at least a weekly standing meeting with my PMM counterpart, and then we would of course exchange emails and chat on probably daily basis, right? That's obviously how close you need to be with your counterparts. So let's summarize where broader marketing or PMM can and should leverage PMs, right? Webinars, we often are looking for those subject matter experts, right? PMMs can be that. And all PMs need to be decent presenters, right? That's a great presentation practice opportunity for them. Sell it to them in this way. Hey, you'll get to practice your cool presentations, right? EBCs, if you have executive briefing center, again, that's a great presentation practice for a PM. Plus, it's a great opportunity for them to do a little research. What do those executives care about? What are their priorities? What are their questions? I remember when before my first EBC presentation, I was freaking out. But then it was so valuable that I was seeking for those presentation opportunities later on. Trade shows, we discussed that. It's a great way to get out of the office and be there in the field and learn in a compressed amount of time, right? Again, PMs try to get out of the office frequently, but that rarely happens. And if you want to visit a customer, it takes a day to travel, a few hours to meet, and another day to travel back. Trade show is a great compressed opportunity in a matter of a day or a few to meet with dozens, if not hundreds of prospects and customers. customers. AR, analyst relations, right? It's often that you or broader marketing team own that, but analysts love technical SMEs, right? They love technical deep demos. So again, who is a better resource than your product counterpart to be part of those briefings or inquiries? Win-loss, we discussed that. That's the truth from the field. So get that information from your product team if you don't have access to that already. And press release, again, we discussed that, but that's a great way to force your product team to formalize the value and put it on paper, because they often get carried away by the tech and the exciting features and the new technologies, new architecture. But what is the value that feature or that product delivers? Force your PMs to formalize that. And then referenceable customers, again, we discussed that. PMs often have those relationships. So if you're looking for that amazing success story, amazing video case study, they often are a great resource. But then on the other hand, right, you can offer help to the product team as well. And I'm sure most of you are already doing that, but this is just hopefully some additional ideas. So pricing and packaging, that's a great collaboration opportunity there. Market dynamics, right? You know on a broader level what's going on in the market, what's the TAM, what's the growth. You often the owners of those analyst accounts, right? Your Gartner, your Forrester accounts, not the PM. So when you get that latest report, latest research from the Gartners and Forresters of the world, make sure you share those with your product team as often as possible. Competitive intelligence, right? Another great way to help the product counterparts. And launch, again, this is where PMMs excel and PMs often suck at. So yeah, so that's. Those are some ideas for you, and then kind of final thoughts, right? I believe deeply that it's the combination of the teams that create that amazing experience. We working hand by hand together, product and marketing create those experiences and products that exceed customer expectations. In the last 2, 3, 4 years, I had an opportunity to work for smaller organizations, and that's where I had to step into the shoes of marketers and gain additional appreciation for the work you're doing. And I think it's all about collaboration and leveraging each other's strengths. So, and especially in those smaller startups, right? It doesn't really matter what your title is, right? We all need to do our job, and then if you see a gap, you step in and help. I had to do that in small organization, whether it's in QA, right, or in marketing. I had to jump in. I saw the gap, and I had to step in and help, because we're all trying to make our companies succeed, right? And so where do you draw this line between product and PMM? And does it really matter? I think what matters more than where that line is today is for you to continuously reevaluate where that line is. And is this still the right line for our company, for our maturity, for our size, for our growth, right? As long as you are reevaluating this and adjusting it on a regular basis, that's what matters. And I'll just leave you with one of my favorite cartoons here. Here it doesn't matter if it's a salesperson. I think that's what was intended here. But whether it's sales or marketing, right? The last thing we want to do is to oversell and or overpromise and underdeliver. Let's do the exact opposite. And I think by working together, we can achieve that. Thank you so much.
So we probably have time for one or two questions for Renee. Any questions in the audience?
Thanks for the great presentation. In your experience, where do you see the balances between PMs, the number of products that they actually manage, and then the ratio of PM to PMMs?
So PMs to product, the ratio I've seen is, it really depends on the size of the company. But if we're talking about a larger enterprise, the ratio was about 2.5, I believe, 2.5 products to a PM. But it varies dramatically. And as far as the PM to PMM, I agree with the numbers shared earlier this morning. And I think that was also around 2.5 PMs to 1 PMM.
Mm-hmm. Any more questions? Oh, Erika.
How would you distinguish the PMM role versus the go-to-market role?
Well, you should ask your colleagues here, but it's I'm on the product side. I only occasionally step into the marketing role, so I'm not the best person to comment on that. Again, depends on the size of the organization, we'll leave it at that. Not the best person to answer that.
All right. Well, thank you, Renee.
Yeah, thank you.
And as a matter of fact, I have twice had product leaders who ran shadow paid ad campaigns, and it turned out terribly in both cases. So don't let that happen to you.
Awesome.